I want to ask you a question and I want you to chime in on this conversation. But how would you define leadership, right? Sometimes, you hear people define leadership in their own words and they say it's a position or it's a title or whatever, right? But how would you define leadership? And I want to talk with you about something that is very dear to me. And obviously, those of you that know me know that I'm very, very heavy when it comes to leadership. But I want to talk about something that I don't think enough people talk about when it comes to leadership. And that is the leadership from within. Okay, the leadership from within. And I'm going to give you 5 points that whether you're leading yourself or whether you're leading a team, it will help you take your leadership to a whole nother level. Because again, in today's society, it is very easy to get leadership confused, right? Because you have good leaders, you have bad leaders. Right? You have good leaders and you have bad leaders. You have good examples of leadership, and obviously you have negative examples of leadership. And I don't think you have to go too far to find the difference, but I think it's something that we don't talk about a lot in regards to leadership, and that is how do you lead from within. So, as I'm going through this, you're going to see me you're gonna see me look at this screen over here. You're gonna see me look at this screen, and obviously you're gonna see me look at this screen. And then there's times, obviously, that I'm gonna make direct contact with you because I want to make sure that the points that I get across or that I want to get across to you, that I hit every single one of them. So let's deal with this real quick. Let me bring this screen up. Let me bring this up really, really quickly here. Okay, I believe we are ready to roll. All right, so how do you define leadership? And we're going to talk about leadership from within, the inner work that creates the outer impact. I'll say it again, the inner work that creates the outer impact. And when it comes to leadership, again, so many people can define it as a position. A lot of people define it as a title, but I want to deal with the core of what I'm going to call effective leadership, especially for today. Effective leadership. So let's go into the first thing, first point, because your time is valuable. And as you're watching this, though, I do want you to chime in the comments. I want you to know, I want you to let me know where you are tuning in from. And by all means, engage in the conversation, add to the conversation at all. I never want to come across as if I have all the answers, but what I know, right? And you've heard me say this before, what you know is what you know, but what you know is not all that there is to know. So from that perspective, I want to hear your thoughts and your comments in regards to this discussion. So let's talk about leadership from within. The first thing is this, okay? Let me make sure that I'm bringing this up. You should be able to see my slide, but here's the first point that I need everybody to understand. You can't lead others until you become consistent in leading yourself. I want you to write that down if you're taking notes. It's impossible to lead others if you cannot become consistent in leading yourself. See, self leadership, as you see here, is the foundation of all leadership. Everything we heard this cliche statement, everything rises and falls with leadership, but not too many people talk about the self leadership. Here's why, because all of us, you and I, there's not a person that's exempt from experiencing the ups and downs of life. Now, unfortunately, however, we live in a society where we can hide behind cameras and we can hide behind, obviously, cell phones, and we can depict ourselves to live in this glorious life like nothing is wrong, but behind closed doors, we're broken. right? We've allowed past experiences to dictate the joy that we choose to experience in our lives today. And so it's easy to hide behind the camera and behind the lenses and social media and so forth. But when it comes to leadership, self-leadership is the foundation of all leadership. Okay. Let me make this bigger on my end because I want to make sure that I hit on all of these points. Okay. All right. So self leadership, again, is the foundation of all leadership. Next point, discipline your thoughts, emotions, and your actions. What does that mean? When it comes to leadership, okay, everything does not require a response. Everything does not require a response. Now, this is tough to do a lot of times, but I'm gonna tell you where I actually got this from. I remember reading years ago the story of Jesus when he was taken before Pontius Pilate, and he was basically, as you know the story, he was accused of being or saying certain things and being deemed king and so forth. Right now, here's what was interesting: of all the accusations that they were bringing, or that Pontius Pilate was actually presenting to him, there was a moment where Jesus stood still and said nothing. He stayed in a place of composure in spite of the accusations that was being brought upon him, and he didn't say a word. And I thought about that, and even in my own life there are moments when I'm gonna just be honest with you, the human side of me want to clap back at people, but it's not necessary. So as a leader, when you are looking to lead others, you again have to have the foundation of leading yourself. And part of this is being able to manage your emotions, being able to manage your thoughts, and being able to manage your actions. That's so important for you to be able to step into the realm of effective leadership. The next thing is leaders set the standard for who you expect others to become. As a leader, you set the standard. There are certain things that has become a non-negotiable in my life. Now here's the interesting thing though: it becomes a non-negotiable in my life in both private and in public. Who you see me to be in public is who you get in private. I don't know how to be anything else. And so I set a standard. I set a standard for my family first, and then I set a standard for all of those that I'm either directly or indirectly attached to as it pertains to my purpose and assignment in my life, right? You cannot listen, as a leader, you can't go around capping to be one person in private and then you're a completely different person in public. Eventually, you're going to get found out. They're going to figure you out eventually, right? Okay. The next point is you can't pour from an empty cup. As much as I pour into others, there are moments. I'm going to be extremely transparent. There's moments when I need people to pour into me, and it's tough sometimes because who can I go to when it comes down to me needing someone to pour into my life? Now, don't get me wrong. I have mentors for just about every facet or every area of my life, but there's moments when I can't reach out to anybody, right? And so what do? You have to get to a place where you are consistent in having someone pour into you. Okay. That is a form of self leadership. Then, next point, you have to master yourself, and then you earn the right to lead others. Okay. When you learn to master yourself, which is an ongoing thing, then you learn or you earn the right to lead others. Now, that leads us to the next point. Next point is this: challenges, leaders understand this. Challenges are not roadblocks. As a leader, you see challenges only as detours meant to guide you and or your team to the next level. See, we understand that challenges reveal what you really are made of, right? What is it going to take to break you as a leader? What is it going to take? Remember in the last slide, we talked about how you set the standard where your team is watching. your breaking point. They're looking for you as an example, and they want to know what it, I don't want to say they want to know, but they're watching what at what point do you break as a leader, right? And so as a leader, we understand that challenges only reveal what you're actually made of, right? Now, we also understand that detours don't delay destiny, they develop it. I remember sharing a story where I had children at a young age, and when I understood this statement right here, as life went on, I began to understand that although my decisions, now let me say this first, because I don't want the enemy to get in your head and start giving you thoughts or saying something that I did not say. I do not regret having any of my children. What I the point that I'm making here is that the choices that I made at such a young age, they did not destroy destiny, but it did cause a delay in me reaching certain points in my life much faster or sooner than I could have. Hopefully, y'all understand where I'm going with this. And if you're being truthful, that probably applies to you too. So, leaders understand that detours, they don't delay destiny, they actually develop it. If I never had my children at the age that I had my children, I would not be the man that I am today because each one of them taught me more about myself than I was aware of before. So detours are they develop you. We also understand that every detour has direction. What does that mean? That means that while you're looking at the challenges or what you're considering to be roadblocks in your life as things as dead ends, they're actually directions. They tell you if you're paying attention to go left or go right or stay on the straight path or maybe turn back and go in another direction, right? Detours are not meant to stop you. They're meant to propel you forward if you're paying attention to the lesson that's attached to the detour. All leaders understand this. And then of course leaders understand that it's not beneficial for you to resist the detour. As a leader, you got to get to the point where you don't resist the detour, but what you do is you embrace it as an elevator to take you to another level in your life. Detours can either keep you stagnant or they can catapult you forward, whether you remain in this place of stagnation or whether you are catapulted forward. That's a choice, right? You embrace the elevator that the detour is actually positioning you to rise to. Hopefully, this is making sense. Hopefully, this is making sense. Let's go to point number three. I'm almost done already. Point number three. Point number three is great leaders understand. Please, please, please hear me on this because you you hear it all the time in the world of social media that you gotta go reach success and success this and success that, but nobody defines success. Now, I want to say this to you. As a leader, we understand that success is relative to the individual and or the organization. But for what I'm getting ready to talk about, I really, really need you to hear what this is saying at the heart level. Listen, leaders understand that you don't build success. What you build is character, and you allow the character to build the success. I'll say this again. Please, please hear me. Leaders understand that you don't build success. You do not build success. What you build is your character, and you allow your character to build the success. Success is the result of character. I'll say that again. Success is the result of character. Character then becomes the foundation of any level of success, and character allows you to build the discipline first in order to be able to hold the success. Hopefully, this is making sense to you. Character compounds, but success follows. Okay. Everybody is after success, grind for this and grind for that. But no, what you need to be doing is developing the character in order for you to maintain, or I'll say it this way, to be an effective steward of the success that you're destined to have. But it does not happen automatically. I said in one of the previous videos that success is predictable, but so is failure. Okay. And I said that because, again, most people will not go through the bumps and bruises that develops the character in order for them to seize the success that they want. So you have to develop the character. Last point. I'm sorry, not last point. Point number four. Point number four. Character, we understand, obviously builds success, but leadership, we know, can be exhibited through the channel or through two channels. One is through the channel of manipulation, and the other is through the channel of love. Manipulation is inspired through, and I don't even want to use the word inspired, but manipulation is created through the channel of fear, right? Fear compels but for a moment in the organization. If you ever seen an organization where people do what their boss or their manager tells them to do, or have you ever been a part of an organization when the manager or the boss comes around or the CEO comes around and everybody just they just stand at attention, right? That's fear. Now, some of you may say, well, that's reverence and that's a level of respect. I don't think so, right? And we can talk about that at a later date. But fear compels only but for a moment, only but for a moment. It also, as a leader, you understand that control creates compliance, but compliance can be a good or bad thing depending on the leader. Hear me. Compliance can be a good or bad thing, but that's contingent upon the leader. Okay. Fear also divides and it destroys culture. If you are going to lead a people, if you're going to lead an organization, culture is everything. And when you try to lead from the place of manipulation, you are actually causing division in your organization. So now the other side of that is leadership. Leaders understand that leadership can be exhibited through the channel of love. Now, what does this mean? Love connects for a lifetime. Again, remember that fear compels but for a moment, but love connects for a lifetime. Now, when it comes to inspiration, the inspiration creates the commitment. I heard somebody say before, I think it was ET, I think it was Eric Thomas. He said that someone came to him one time and they were basically saying that they were loyal, right? And they were so loyal. And one of the things that he stated was a person who thinks they're loyal sometimes are only committed, but they're only committed because they're getting paid. Oh my goodness, my goodness. Most people deem loyalty, or I'm sorry, most people deem commitment as loyalty, but they don't acknowledge that the only reason that they're committed is because they're getting paid. Commitment and loyalty is two different things. When you actually love people from the perspective of leadership, you gain a level of commitment. Now, what does this mean? This means that when you have love, you have those that are committed and you have those that are loyal. But listen to me, a committed person will stay as long as they see themselves within the purpose or the vision that you as a leader lay out. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that all people that are committed are only committed because of money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm only giving the example that I just shared because a lot of people they define commitment as loyalty and it's two different things. Commitment is a good thing, but commitment can only be forged or cultivated through a environment of love. Okay? Now, and we also understand that while fear divides and destroys culture, love unites and it builds a legacy. Leaders understand this. Okay, last point. Last point. People follow purpose, not titles. I say this over and over and over and over again. Leadership has zero to do with your title. And and some people may disagree with this, right? Leadership has nothing to do with your title. Leadership has everything to do with your ability to influence people to become who God has destined them to be through a channel of inspiration. Okay. But people follow purpose, they don't follow titles. As a matter of fact, if you're leading an organization or know someone that is leading an organization based on a leader's title, then that is an organization that is going to be very short lived. Okay. People do not follow titles, they follow leadership. I'm sorry, they follow purpose. Now, what does this mean? Purpose gives direction. This is why they follow purpose. Purpose gives direction. Direction for what? Not only the organization, but it gives direction for the individual as well. Remember, just a few moments ago, I said that when a people can buy into the vision of the leader and they see themselves within the vision, is game over. You have nothing to be concerned about. You have both loyal and committed people when they see themselves in the vision. Now, purpose gives direction. We also understand that passion creates influence. Passion creates the influence. Influence, again, to be able to inspire others to become who God has destined them to be. Number three, people follow what moves you, not what you manage. Write that down. People follow what moves you, not what you manage. This is so important to understand. If you're going to move into the realm of leadership, people will follow you based on the vision, based on the passion, based on what moves you, right? Not based on what you manage. Watch. We can dig deeper into this as we go along. If you want to find out more about what I mean here, definitely chime in into the comment section. We can dig into this. But last thing, as leaders, we lead with purpose. When you lead with purpose, the right people will follow. Okay? When you lead with purpose, the right people will follow. So, let me come back. I remember there were let me go back. Where am I? Okay. So some of you guys know that when I was a principal, it terrified the mess out of me. It really did. It scared the crap out of me because I didn't know honestly what I was doing, right? I didn't have a clue on what I was doing. But I knew that people, mainly the teachers that were there, they knew more than I did. I'll just be completely honest with you. And so I had to put my personal ego to the side at such a young age and realize that I needed the expertise of those that have been doing this much longer than I have. And I had to really pull on them and ask them what was the gap, what was the missing piece for the students, what is it that the parents are crying out for, and how can we build this together. So as a leader, I'm telling you that it has nothing to do with your title. You have to develop a level of trust by showing your team, showing your organization that you're in the fight with them. But when it comes down to it, the only way that you're going to lead effectively is when you lead from within first. Okay. You have to lead from within first. If you are in a place right now and you need help with learning how to lead from within, I want to offer a opportunity for you to meet with me personally. I again, some of you guys may have seen this post not too long ago, but I am excited about this. Like I put this on hold for a long time. I don't want to say I put it on hold. I actually kept the doors of this closed for a long time. Obviously, a great deal of that was as I was finishing up my doctorate, but at the same time, I knew that there was some things that I was working on within myself. And again, I just told you, like, I'm not going to come on here and hide behind the lens and act like everything was perfect. There were some things that I was going through, and I had to deal with those things first in order to be what I call qualified to come and now help you get through what it is that you may be going through. So I want you to look into And this again, this is only for you that are serious about taking your life to the next level. Okay, the Face the Roar private coaching package. I want you to go to drmikellewis.com/roar and get more information on that. All right. So with that, I believe that is all I have. Let me come back to the other screen real quick. Um, and really, listen, family, as a leader, you are responsible to lead yourself first. There's a reason that the flight attendant tells you to put your oxygen mask on first. And I didn't understand it until I actually did some research on it and realized, obviously, that if you do not put your oxygen mask on first, then you put yourself in a position where you can't help someone else in a situation like that, right? So if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, what happens is your brain begins to literally hallucinate. You can't function and you can't think straight. So because I always question, like, why in the world would I put my mask on first before putting the mask on for my children, right? But that's the reason, because if you don't have oxygen going to your brain, then you can't think clearly. And obviously, you can't help anybody at that point. So it's the same way with leadership. You have to put your oxygen mask on first and start to lead from within. Only then can you be qualified to lead others. All right. So hopefully this was value added. I want to hear from you down below. Now, another thing I want you to do as well is I want you to go over to the website MikeLewisInc.com, and I want you to get plugged away for our Leadership Collective email list. It is some very, very good information that those of you that are interested in leadership, interested in purpose and potential, and how to maximize your potential in life, then you want to be a part of the Leadership Collective. Listen, we are getting ready to do some big things. Live events is coming, webinars is coming, additional resources, more books are coming, and I got some people that's ready to pour into your life. So be a part of the Leadership Collective. Go over to MikeLewisInc.com and become a part of that email list. You will be glad that you did. All right. So that's all I have for tonight. As always, family, you know how I do it. I want you to go over to all of my social media outlets, and I want you to connect with me. Right, go over to my Instagram, go to my Facebook, go to YouTube. As a matter of fact, go over to YouTube if you haven't already. Go over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and become a part of the community. Okay, there's things that I release on YouTube that I don't release anywhere else, and I want to hear from you. All right. So, with that, as always, you know how I do it. When you are living in your purpose, there is no such thing as competition. Until next time, God bless. See you on the next video.